3 days before payday and I was flat broke. $14.23 in my checking account, and that was after canceling Spotify Premium and transferring the last $6 from Venmo. I'd been working part-time unloading trucks at a distribution center. 4 hours of sweat and forklift fumes for barely enough to cover rent, gas, and whatever cheap groceries I could scrounge together. San Antonio isn't kind to the broke, especially in October when the AC still runs 24/7 and your energy bill feels like a second rent check. The fridge was basically a crime scene. 1 expired yogurt, half a jar of pickles, and a loaf of bread that had turned green. I hadn't had a real meal in 2 days. Hunger has a way of making you ignore pride. I grabbed my keys, muttered something about getting rice and beans, and headed to Costco. Costco always gave me weird feelings. I don't know, something about how everything's bulk-sized and sterile. The bright lights and spotless concrete aisles feel too clean, like if something bad happened you'd never know because it'd be scrubbed out by morning. Anyway, I kept my head down and went straight to dry goods. That's when I saw it. A brown box, wedged between 2 pallets of Kirkland brand protein, bars and those mega packs of toilet paper. No label, no SKU, no tape. Nothing to market as anything at all. Just dusty cardboard in a store where everything is tracked and tagged. I looked around. No employees nearby. Nobody is watching. I picked it up. Heavier than I expected, maybe 5 or 6 pounds. I shook it gently. No rattle, just something shifting inside. My curiosity got the better of me. I slid a box cutter from my hoodie pocket and cracked it open right there in the aisle. Inside, Polaroids. Dozens. Some bent, some faded. All of them looked old. But the one on top, that was me, standing in this very aisle, from just a few minutes ago. And I hadn't seen a single person take it. At first I thought it was some mistake, a weird coincidence. But when I flipped through the photos, my stomach dropped. They weren't just random old pictures. These were all from Costco. My Costco. Aisles I walked every week. Corners of the freezer section. The self-checkout area. Most were strangers, but a few had me in the background. Blurry, unfocused, half visible in the reflection of freezer doors or mirrors on the end caps. The picture on top still haunts me. It was me, standing in that exact aisle, head tilted, looking at snack bars. Exactly what I was doing maybe 3 minutes before I found the box. Same hoodie, same scuffed sneakers, same slight slouch I get when I haven't eaten all day. I looked around fast. No one near me. I felt watched, though, like something heavy was pressing on my shoulders. I put the box in my cart, walked quickly to the back corner near the seasonal items, and sat on a patio chair set that was way out of my budget. I pulled the box onto my lap and dug deeper. There were more Polaroids. One of a child standing in the frozen food section, his expression blank like he didn't know someone was taking it. Another of an elderly woman at the sample station. Then one more of me again, this time checking my phone, time-stamped for a time that hadn't even happened yet. I checked. It was 4:12 p.m. The timestamp read 4:18 p.m. My stomach turned. I shoved the photos back in the box, closed it up, and left the store without buying anything. The cashier didn't even scan it, just gave me a weird smile and a wink like we were in on something together. Back in my car, I locked the doors, turned on the AC, and just sat there. I checked behind me. I kept checking. That night I dreamed in snapshots, grainy, washed out, with the sound of a camera shutter snapping every time I moved. I didn't tell anyone at first. What would I even say? Hey, I found a box of creepy old Polaroids in Costco and one of them is a picture of me from 5 minutes ago? Yeah, no. People already thought I was strange enough. But it got worse. The next morning I woke up and shuffled into the kitchen to microwave water for instant coffee. And there it was, another Polaroid. Just sitting on the counter like it had always been there. This one showed me, asleep in my bed, mouth slightly open, head tilted toward the window. It wasn't just creepy, it was impossible. My door was locked, the window bolted. No one could have taken it. I ran around the apartment, checking every lock, every corner. Nothing was broken, nothing out of place. Just that damn photo staring up at me with its faded border and curling corners. Later that day, I checked the box again. More Polaroids had appeared, new ones. Still of strangers, some crying, some smiling too wide, but always taken in Costco. Always that same off-angle perspective, like whoever took them was crouching behind shelves or mirrors. And then I found another of me. This one had me walking down the cereal aisle at 6:02 p.m. Same timestamp on the back, same clothes. The exact moment I went back to Costco that evening, hoping to talk to someone about what I found. I was in the photo before I ever stepped foot inside. It didn't feel like paranoia anymore. It felt like surveillance, but not digital. Something older, slower, analog. Like someone was watching me and deliberately showing me that I was being watched. When I got home that night, there was no new photo waiting. Instead, someone had scratched the word "stop" into my front door. I didn't go to work the next day. I didn't shower. I barely ate. I sat in the middle of my apartment with the lights off, every curtain drawn, the unmarked box sitting on my coffee table like it was made of lead. But you can't stay scared forever. Eventually, fear turns into anger, or maybe just exhaustion. That afternoon, I shoved the box into my backpack and drove back to Costco. The store looked normal. Bright lights, happy families, that same damn smell of rotisserie chicken and floor cleaner. I walked up to customer service and asked to speak to a manager. "What kind of box?" the woman asked. "We don't sell anything unmarked." I opened my bag and showed her. She blinked. "You're not supposed to have that." "What do you mean?" I asked. But she just shook her head. "We've had issues before. I'm sorry." Before I could ask more, she turned and walked straight into the warehouse area. She never came back. A younger employee offered to help, but he didn't even know what I was talking about. On my way out, I saw him. A man, late 30s maybe, hood up, standing near the tire center. As I passed, he stepped forward and whispered, "You shouldn't have opened it." No expression, just those 5 words. Then he slipped into the crowd and was gone. That night, my apartment was different. My door was unlocked, my drawers opened, the box was gone. I called the police. "No sign of forced entry," the officer said. "Nothing stolen. Are you sure you didn't misplace it?" I showed him the Polaroid from the day before, of me sleeping. He squinted, shrugged. "Probably staged. You want to file a report or not?" The next morning, an envelope waited on my doormat. Inside, a new photo. I was in the background, blurry, standing in front of a different Costco, in Houston, and I'd never been to Houston. But I think I'm headed there now, because I need to know who's taking these, and why me. I'd been working at the Tacoma Costco since April, just after I turned 17. My goal was simple: save enough money for community college and maybe upgrade my rusted-out Civic. I stocked shelves part-time after school, worked weekends, and pulled doubles on school breaks. Costco wasn't glamorous, but it had rhythm. There was something comforting about that rhythm. Forklifts humming, customers shuffling, the distant chatter of samples being offered, the mix of pizza grease and industrial cleaner in the air. It was predictable. Safe. That Tuesday started, off like any other. The sky was gray, and the rain had been coming in waves since morning. I'd pulled the 1 to 9 shift and was in the middle of my cereal aisle restock when I noticed them. The woman was probably mid-50s, brown hair pulled back in a bun that had long since given up. Her coat was too thin for the weather, and her cart held only a few items: paper towels, canned soup, a dented pack of bottled water. But it wasn't her cart I noticed. It was her hands. They shook slightly when she reached for a box of Cheerios. Behind her was a boy, 19 or 20 at most. He looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. Hoodie up, sleeves tugged way down over his hands, lips moving like he was muttering to himself. I saw him rearranging boxes on the shelf, but it was aimless, jittery. One sleeve had a dark blotch on it, something wet or stained. I did what we're trained to do. I walked up, offered help, tried to keep my voice easy. "Ma'am, can I help you find anything?" She looked at me, just briefly. But in that second, her eyes said something her mouth didn't. "Help me." "And her son?" He froze like he knew I saw it. I tried to play it cool. That's what you're supposed to do in retail. Smile through weirdness. Stay polite. Don't escalate. But something about the kid had me on edge. He wasn't just tired or out of it, he was wired, paranoid. He kept looking over his shoulder like someone was following him, even though no one was. I kept stalking, but watched them out of the corner of my eye. They headed toward the paper goods section, aisle 12, by the bulk toilet paper and tissues. That's a dead zone for cameras. No visibility from the front. If something were to happen, it'd be there. I radioed Jorge, our shift lead. "Hey Jorge, got eyes on a situation near aisle 12. Might be nothing, but can you roll by?" He said he was helping a customer buy the electronics cage and would check in a few. I was on my own. I walked toward aisle 12 under the pretense of restocking tissue boxes, nerves crawling up my spine. That's when it happened. The boy, Caleb, I'd later learn, blocked the end of the aisle with his body. Just stood there, between me and the way out. And then, out of nowhere, he pulled something from his hoodie pocket. A box cutter. He didn't wave it around or yell. He just held it low, subtle, but I saw the blade catch the overhead lights. "You saw nothing," he whispered. His voice was too calm, like he was trying to convince himself. Behind him, the woman mouthed something to me. Just 2 words. "Call 911. My heart pounded in my throat. I nodded slightly and backed away, keeping my eyes on the kid. He didn't follow. He just stood there, breathing hard. I ducked behind the end cap and hit the emergency code button on my walkie. 3 taps. Silent alarm, meant for exactly this. Something bad was happening, and it was about to get worse. I don't remember exactly how I got to the tire center. I just know my legs moved before I had time to think. That's where the main panic alarm was, the one that activated the store-wide alert. Flashing lights, lockdown protocol, that sort of thing wasn't supposed to happen at a Costco. As I rounded the corner near the seasonal section, I heard shouting behind me, the kind that makes your stomach drop before your brain catches up. I turned just in time to see Caleb grab his mom by the arm, hard, and shove her into a stack of toilet paper pallets. The whole display wobbled like it might collapse. "Stop, don't touch her," I shouted without thinking, and immediately regretted it. He turned his head. His eyes were wide, glassy, and completely disconnected from reality. "They're in the walls," he screamed, raising the box cutter. "They're watching, all of you." Customers started backing away, some pushing their carts between themselves and him like shields. I heard someone yell, "Call the cops." But I'd already hit the panic alarm. Red strobes started flashing overhead. An automated voice started, playing over the intercom. "Emergency. Please proceed to the nearest exit." A security guard, Tom, one of our older guys, stepped in from the liquor aisle. "Hey bud, let's put the knife down, okay?" he said, voice calm. That kind of calm that only works if you're used to tense situations. Caleb didn't put it down. He slashed at Tom, catching him in the arm before bolting past the jewelry cases. Everything blurred. People were screaming. The scent of pizza and cleaning supplies was suddenly mixed with panic. Caleb ran past me, knocking over a table of discounted sweatshirts. I ducked, hands shaking, heart thudding like a bass drum in my chest. Somewhere in the chaos, I heard his mom crying. The police showed up within 4 minutes. 4 minutes felt like an hour. They found Caleb sitting on the cold cement floor, near the rotisserie chicken display, rocking back and forth. The box cutter was gone, tossed somewhere between aisle 3 and the bakery, but they found it later. Dull blade, duct-taped handle. He didn't resist, didn't speak, just sat there, repeating something under his breath, something about bugs, under his skin and wires in the ceilings. Whatever he was seeing, it wasn't reality. Mrs. Delaney, his mom, was checked out by medics. Bruises on her arms, shoulder dislocated from being shoved. She didn't press charges, but the cops didn't need her to. They arrested Caleb under a mental health crisis hold and took him for evaluation. Later, I learned more than I wanted, too. He'd been diagnosed with untreated paranoid schizophrenia. She'd been trying to keep him stable without proper help. No insurance, no real support. Costco was the only place she could afford to buy bulk items and stay under budget. She wasn't shopping, she was hiding in public. His backpack had a notebook inside. Pages and pages of hand-drawn store layouts, paranoid maps, notes about eyes in the shelves and watchers in red vests. My name was written on one of the pages. I didn't sleep that night. I handed in my 2-week notice the next day, but I never went back. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. Those eyes. Vacant but burning at the same time. I still shop at Costco, but never alone. I avoid the cereal aisle. I flinch when forklifts beep too loud. Trauma does that to you. It wires itself into the mundane. Mrs. Delaney sent me a letter through management, a thank you, an apology. Said she was getting help now for both of them. I didn't write back. Costco never really talks about it. There's no plaque or policy document that says, "Remember the kid in October." But the signs are there. New cameras in the corners. A posted crisis counselor in the break room. Quiet changes, made without acknowledgement. Jorge still works there. He told me the security guard needed 10 stitches and a tetanus shot, but came back within the week. Said Tom joked that the toilet paper wall softened the blow. It's funny how something so routine, clocking in, stacking boxes, offering help, can shatter in seconds. Sometimes I think about going back just to say hi, to prove to myself that I'm not scared anymore. But then I remember how it felt, the second she looked at me in the cereal aisle and didn't say a word, just pleaded with her eyes. That moment doesn't leave you. People assume violence comes with loud noises and warning signs, but sometimes it comes quietly, in shaking hands, in whispered threats, in the soft rustle of a hoodie sleeve. I don't work at Costco anymore. I take classes now, psychology mostly, trying to understand what happened, why it stuck with me, why I can't forget the smell of that day, the echo of his voice yelling about walls. I don't have answers yet. Maybe I never will. But I still carry pepper spray in my purse, still check my exits, still feel a jolt when someone walks behind me in a hoodie. Costco moved on, and so did I, sort of. The man's presence was oppressive, his sunburned face inches from my window. I could see the beads of sweat on his forehead, the way his eyes darted around, scanning the parking lot. His threat hung in the air, heavy and unspoken. I forced a calm expression, though my pulse was pounding in my ears. "Look," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I don't want any trouble." He smirked, revealing yellowed teeth. "Trouble? Who said anything about trouble? Just asking for a little help." I glanced at the dashboard, noting the time. Liz had only been gone a few minutes, but it felt like an eternity. The sun's glare made it hard to see inside the store, and I had no idea how much longer she'd be. "Sorry," I repeated, firmer this time. "I can't help you." His eyes narrowed and he tapped the glass with a dirty fingernail. "You sure about that?" "Like I said, it'd be a shame if something happened to your car." I felt a surge of anger but tamped it down. Engaging would only escalate the situation. Instead, I reached for my phone, holding it up so he could see. "I'm calling security." For a moment he hesitated, his eyes flicking to the phone. Then, with a sneer, he stepped back. "Whatever, man," he muttered, turning away. I watched as he sauntered off, weaving between parked cars, occasionally glancing back over his shoulder. My grip on the steering wheel was tight, knuckles white. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. A few minutes later, Liz emerged. From the store, a shopping cart laden with items. I jumped out to help her, my eyes still scanning the lot for any sign of the man. "Everything okay?" she asked, noticing my tension. "Yeah," I lied, forcing a smile. Let's just get out of here. As we loaded the last of the items into the trunk, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The man's parting words echoed in my mind, a lingering threat that refused to be dismissed. With Liz safely inside the car, I started the engine, the familiar hum offering a semblance of comfort. The air conditioning blasted, but I still felt a cold sweat on my back. I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the man approaching again. "What's wrong?" Liz asked, her brow furrowed. I hesitated, debating whether to tell her. But before I could decide, a blur of red caught my eye. The man was back, emerging from between two SUVs, his gait unsteady but purposeful. "Lock your door," I said sharply. Liz's eyes widened, but she complied without question. The man was closing, the distance, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. "Go, Ryan," Liz urged, her voice tight with fear. I didn't need further prompting. Shifting into reverse, I backed out of the parking spot quickly but carefully, mindful of pedestrians and other vehicles. The man broke into a run, his hand reaching out as if to grab the car. "Faster!" Liz shouted. I shifted into drive and pressed the accelerator. The CRV responded immediately, putting distance between us and the man. In the side mirror, I saw him stop, breathing heavily, his face contorted in frustration. As we exited the parking lot, I kept checking the mirrors, half expecting him to appear again. My hands trembled slightly on the wheel. "Who was that?" Liz asked, her voice shaky. "Just some guy asking for money," I replied, understating the encounter. "Let's just get home." The rest of the drive was silent, both of us lost in our thoughts. The incident had shaken us, a stark reminder of the unpredictability of the world. Back at our apartment, the reality of what had happened began to sink in. Liz sat on the couch, her arms wrapped around herself while I paced the living room. "We should report it," she said finally. I nodded. "Yeah, I'll call the non-emergency line." The dispatcher listened patiently as I recounted the incident, asking for a description of the man and the events that transpired. She assured me that an officer would look into it and advised us to be cautious. That night, sleep was elusive. Every noise outside made me jump, and I found myself replaying the encounter over and over. Could I have handled it differently? Was there a way to avoid confrontation altogether? 2 days after the encounter, I got a call from Officer Hernandez with the Phoenix PD. He'd reviewed the Costco security footage and confirmed what I already knew. Our panhandler had been lurking around the lot for hours, testing car handles, harassing shoppers, and even following a few women to their cars before backing off. They'd picked up a man matching the description later that evening, passed out behind a dumpster near the food court, jersey and all. He didn't have a weapon on him, Hernandez told me. Just a pocket full of coins, an expired Costco membership card, and half a bottle of rotgut whiskey. Hearing it out loud gave me a weird mix of relief and unease. No weapon, but it didn't mean he wouldn't have escalated. We were lucky. After I hung up, Liz and I sat at the kitchen table in silence. She traced the condensation on her iced coffee while I stared at the Costco receipt from that day, $4.99 rotisserie chicken included. It felt absurd that something so routine had almost spiraled into violence. "Do we go back?" she asked. "To Costco?" I laughed. "We have to. Where else are we going to get 6 pounds of trail mix for $10? She smiled, but I could still see the worry behind her eyes. When we finally returned the following weekend, we parked near the tire center, where we noticed new cameras installed and 2 security guards patrolling on foot. One nodded at us, and I gave him a grateful nod back. We kept pepper spray in the cup holder now, and Liz had downloaded a personal safety app. Small changes, smart ones. The truth is, nothing happened that day, technically. No one got hurt, no car was damaged, and we made it to the Grand Canyon just fine. But it changed how we moved through the world. We were more alert, less trusting. A little older in a way that had nothing to do with birthdays. Every time I pass a red Cardinals jersey in a crowd now, I flinch. It's dumb, but not really. Because once you've seen what desperation looks like up close, sweaty, angry, and 3 feet from your window. You don't forget it ever. The thing no one tells you about freelancing is how often your fridge ends up looking like a metaphor for your life, mostly empty, with a few odd items that expired weeks ago. That was me, sitting in my Seattle studio apartment at 8:47 p.m. on a rainy Tuesday in November, staring into a humming fridge that contained half a bottle of sriracha, an expired vanilla yogurt, and 2 eggs I was too afraid to smell. Rent was due in 5 days. My checking account balance read 1432s. My next invoice wouldn't clear until Thursday. I'd been living off black coffee and ramen for the past week, and the cheap kind too, the kind that comes in a styrofoam cup, not even the halfway decent stuff with the spicy packets. It had been a rough month. My biggest client scaled back their contract citing budget restructuring, and I'd spent the last 3 weeks bidding on lowball design jobs and cranking out social media graphics for a dog groomer in Ohio who still paid me in Venmo. So when I realized I was out of peanut butter, my go-to protein source, I figured I had just enough gas and cash for one last Costco run to stretch me through the week. That meant ramen, peanut butter, and maybe a bulk bag of frozen veggies if I got lucky. My membership was still active, thankfully, renewed in a moment of optimism last summer when I thought freelancing would finally start paying off. It was raining that night as usual. Not a storm, just that steady Pacific Northwest drizzle that makes your jacket feel useless. I pulled my hood up, grabbed my reusable bag, and took the bus 2 stops to the warehouse. It wasn't glamorous, but it was warm inside, and if I timed it right, I could catch a few free samples. Dinner, in bite-sized portions. That night, I wasn't thinking about anything except surviving the week. I had no idea I'd leave that Costco with more than just cheap groceries. I had no idea that box would change everything. Costco was winding down when I got there. Most of the after-work crowd had cleared out, and the overhead lights had that cold bluish tint that made the entire warehouse feel slightly off. The floor workers were restocking end caps, forklifts hummed in the distance, and a guy in a high-vis vest was using a buffer machine near the tire center. I kept my list short. Ramen, check. Peanut butter, check. I lingered by the frozen aisle, but decided against spending the last of my change on veggies. On my way to the checkout, I cut through the paper goods section, figuring I'd see if the single ply was marked down. That's when I noticed the box. It wasn't in any normal place, just shoved haphazardly between 2 pallets of paper towels. A small unlabeled brown Kirkland box, no tape, no barcode. On the side, someone had scribbled "as is" in black marker, along with a faded green sticker that just said clearance. It wasn't heavy when I picked it up, maybe 2-3 pounds at most. I shook it gently. No clanking or shifting inside. Just stillness. I figured maybe it was overstock or some kind of shelf return. Maybe it was full of expired protein bars or mismatched Tupperware lids. Whatever it was, I figured I could use. It or flip it on OfferUp. Either way, I needed the win. At checkout, I loaded it on the belt with my ramen and peanut butter. The cashier, a middle-aged guy with a thin mustache and tired eyes, scanned my items, pausing when he reached the box. He looked at it, then at me. "You find this in aisle 5?" he asked quietly. I nodded. He gave me a weird little smile. Not friendly, just knowing. "Looks like it's yours now." Then, without scanning it, he slid it past and handed it back to me. "No charge," he said with a wink. "Call it a Tuesday special." I thanked him, confused but grateful. On the bus ride home, I balanced it on my lap and wondered what I'd gotten for free. I wasn't prepared for what was inside. Back in my apartment, I set the mystery box on the kitchen counter and stared at it while boiling water for noodles. The rain had picked up again, tapping against the windows like impatient fingers. I dried off my hoodie and figured I'd open the box while dinner cooked. The tape had already been cut, only the folded flaps held it closed. I peeled them back slowly, half expecting broken electronics or discount dog toys, but what I found was far stranger. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, Polaroids, old and slightly curled at the edges, packed neatly in rows. I counted 47 in all. Most looked like they were taken in the 90s. Birthday parties, suburban backyards, people laughing at barbecues. The clothes and hairstyles were all vintage. Mom jeans, bowl cuts, windbreakers. Every photo was time-stamped in faded ink across the white Polaroid border, and each one had a location handwritten in neat, tidy cursive. Issaquah, Costco, July 1997. Redmond, 1995. Everett, March 1999. At first, I thought maybe someone had been documenting Costco events. Maybe a former employee, a marketing person. But there were no logos or signage, just families, couples, employees, all candid, all unposed. Then I got to the last photo. It was me. Standing in Costco earlier that evening, near the giant flat-screen TVs. I was pushing my cart with one hand and checking my phone with the other. The image was crystal clear, taken from maybe 20 feet away. The timestamp said 7:52 p.m., the exact time I'd been in that aisle. My stomach dropped. My pulse kicked up. There was no way this photo could have been taken by accident. Someone had followed me. Someone had taken my picture, printed it, and somehow slipped it inside the box before I got home. Either that, or it had been waiting for me all along. I dropped the photo and backed away from the box like it had burned me. My mind raced, trying to rationalize, explain, deny. But deep down, something told me this wasn't just a weird coincidence. Someone had been watching me, and they wanted me to know. I barely slept that night. Every creak in the hallway made me flinch. My eyes kept darting toward the windows, the shadows beyond the blinds suddenly alive with possibility. By morning, I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe someone found a forgotten box in the back of the store and tossed a joke photo inside. Weird? Sure, but not dangerous. That illusion shattered when I opened my front door to a new Polaroid, taped to the frame. It was a photo of me, sleeping, same timestamp style, same Polaroid format. The angle was from across the room, like someone had stood inside my apartment, camera aimed at my bed. I snatched it down, heart pounding. How had someone gotten in? I tore through the apartment. Nothing was stolen, no broken locks, no signs of entry. But another photo waited inside, this one inside the microwave, showing me brushing my teeth the night before, taken through the bathroom mirror. I stared at it, my toothbrush frozen mid-swipe. The final photo came that night, slipped under my pillow. It showed me holding the original mystery box right after I'd brought it home. My mouth was open like I'd just said something. One hand hovering above the lid. But it wasn't just the photo. Scrawled across the bottom in red ink, uneven and jagged, were 5 words. You shouldn't have opened me. That was the moment I lost the last shred of disbelief. I unplugged my microwave, locked every window, and shoved furniture against the door. My studio had become a cage, but it felt safer than whatever waited outside. I never saw the man from the checkout again. But I started noticing my building's maintenance guy. He wore an old badge with the name scratched off. The same style, same lettering. I tried to ask questions at Costco a few days later. They just said inventory shifts get boxed as is all the time. No one seemed to know where the clearance sticker came from. I never got answers, only more questions. I moved out 2 weeks later, broke my lease, packed what little I had, and found a sublet near Capitol Hill. Smaller but less exposed. I never went back to Costco. I started shopping at Trader Joe's. It cost more, sure, but everything's labeled, everything's clean, no hidden boxes. I got a new lock, a new phone, even replaced my laptop just in case. Started sleeping with the curtains shut, the lights on. At first I told myself I was overreacting, but that voice, reasonable, logical, was quieter now. I've kept the box though, tucked away in a storage bin, sealed and duct taped. I haven't looked at the photos since, but I couldn't throw them out. Something about them feels like evidence of what, I'm not sure. Sometimes I think about the people in those old Polaroids. Were they being watched too? Were they warned? Did they ignore it? Or worse, a few nights ago I walked past a different Costco. I didn't go in. Just stood outside and watched the automatic doors slide open and closed, open and closed. It looked harmless, just another warehouse. But I noticed a man standing by the entrance wearing a red vest, scanning receipts. He wasn't checking anyone's bags, just staring. He looked at me as I passed. Not long, just enough to recognize me. He smiled. And that's when I knew. This wasn't over. Not yet. Driving for Costco had been my gig for the past 3 years. After stints with various delivery services, I found stability here. The pay was solid, averaging around $55,000 annually, and the benefits were comprehensive. Each morning began at the depot with a thorough vehicle inspection, ensuring everything was in working order. Safety was paramount. We adhered strictly to protocols, from securing loads to maintaining detailed logs. My route typically covered the suburbs outside Portland, Oregon, delivering a range of items from bulk groceries to large appliances. Most customers were friendly, often greeting me with a smile or a nod. Some even offered water or snacks, especially during the hotter days. But there were always exceptions, occasional odd encounters that left me uneasy. Still, nothing in my experience had prepared me for what happened on that drizzly Thursday in October. The afternoon had been uneventful until I reached a quiet cul-de-sac lined with towering evergreens. The house in question was unremarkable, with a neatly trimmed lawn and a driveway devoid of cars. As I approached with a package of Kirkland signature toilet paper, I noticed the front door was slightly ajar. This wasn't entirely unusual. Some customers left their doors open, anticipating the delivery. Still, protocol dictated caution. Costco. Delivery, I called out, waiting for a response. Silence. I set the package down and turned to leave when a man appeared from around the side of the house. He wore gardening gloves and sported a wide, unsettling grin. "Thanks for bringing that," he said, his tone flat. Something about him felt off, but I couldn't place it. I nodded, offered a polite smile, and turned back toward my truck. That's when I felt the cold press of metal against my back. "Let's take this inside," he murmured. He guided me through the open door into a sparsely furnished living room. The air was thick with the scent of dampness and something metallic. "Downstairs," he instructed, nodding toward a door leading to the basement. My mind raced, weighing options. Running seemed futile. He had the advantage. Complying for now seemed the safest bet. I descended the creaky wooden stairs into a dimly lit basement. The concrete walls were lined with shelves holding miscellaneous items: paint cans, old tools, boxes labeled with dates. In the center stood a support beam with zip ties dangling from a hook. "Hands behind the beam," he ordered. I hesitated, and he pressed the gun harder against my side. Reluctantly, I complied. He secured my wrist with the zip ties, pulling them tight enough to pinch but not cut off circulation. "Now, your keys and phone," he demanded. I felt a surge of panic, but knew resistance was futile. He took them and ascended the stairs, leaving me in the dimly lit basement. The sound of the door locking echoed in the confined space. Alone, I took deep breaths, trying to quell the rising panic. Recalling a trick my brother, a firefighter, had taught me, I began rubbing the zip tie against the rough edge of the support beam. The friction burned my skin, but I persisted. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually the tie snapped. I rubbed my sore wrists and scanned the basement for an exit. A small high window caught my eye. Stacking some boxes, I managed to reach it. With considerable effort, I pried it open and squeezed through, scraping my back in the process. Once, outside, I ran through neighboring yards, adrenaline fueling my movements. A startled homeowner called out, and I quickly explained my situation. They ushered me inside and dialed 911. Within minutes, Officer Ruiz arrived, a half-eaten Costco muffin in hand, a look of concern on his face. The police investigation revealed unsettling details. The house had been rented using a fake ID, and the man was nowhere to be found. My delivery van was discovered abandoned behind a 7-Eleven, its contents untouched except for the slashed open toilet paper packages. Strangely, nothing was missing. The most baffling detail: the order had been placed from my own phone. In the weeks that followed, I returned to work, but with heightened vigilance. I parked strategically, ensuring clear exit paths. A box cutter became a constant companion, and I couldn't shake the unease whenever an order consisted of just one item. The routine deliveries continued, but the sense of security I'd once felt was irrevocably shattered. Every door left ajar, every unexpected customer interaction set my nerves on edge. The job hadn't changed, but I had.